Just some of my indicators. Weekly chart. Again, the rally off 80,000 did nothing to change the weekly trend. Momentum, some of the momentum signals turned bullish, but the trend remained bearish. Daily, again, possible larger bull flag. If we can break this level, we tried to clear it and we stalled with the topping tail there. Tried to flip some signals to bullish. Most of them were not able to. To get a bigger rally, the 50 period is right here. Again, we would still be in the negative portion of the channel. So again, bar is still red. We're still on a sell signal here. I think we'll bounce around the 200 and 300 week moving average. I think you try to bottom and the 49,000 low over here to 54, 55,000. I think you bottom in this area somewhere. Signals have been bearish since the week of the top right here. Bars turning red, remaining that way. Again, a change of behavior. We're in the positive portion of the channel. We've had a change of behavior, and we're now in the negative portion of the channel like we were back over here in the bear market. There's been a change of behavior. In a confirmed bear market with 2 consecutive closes below the 50-week moving average, as I've talked so much about. Even if we get a bigger rally, it's likely to fail. I think you're going to bottom in this area here, hitting this lower channel line. You may hit it a time or two in the low to mid 50,000 range. Maybe wick below it and drop below 49,000 and get a massive wick on the weekly chart. Possible. But again, my signals, which are correct, remain bearish. Oh, but we got an 8.5% rally. Yeah, after dropping nearly 39%. A big rally up here. We rallied up 20%. We pulled back about 12 or 13%. And then we got an 8.5% rally. After dropping nearly 39%. Put things in their proper perspective. Those oohing and awing, the Moo Boys oohing and awing over the 8.5% rally. But when they, they're crickets when it comes to talking about the nearly 39% drop. Because they didn't see it coming. I think you're going to hit the lower end of the channel. A lot of signals tried to turn bullish on Wednesday and they ended up failing because we didn't close at the highs. Got some bottoming signals for momentum here, but all it's done is give us counter trend rallies, at least so far. Still may get a bigger rally. We'll see towards the 50 period. But again, some of these signals, they just mark counter trend rallies. Other signals mark reversals, like the top and our bottom, and over here, the top over here on January 14th at 97,000. Trending signals are still bearish here. Some signals did turn back to bullish, so you still have a shot at moving towards the 50 period moving average if we can have the support zone hold our recent low here and our low at 60,000. If you can rally back up, then again, watch the 50 period moving average in the daily time frame. If this signal reverts back to bearish, we take out the support zone, then we can resume the decline. You might get a larger counter trend still. It's still possible. Probably see some divergences develop, like right here. Again, we're still in the negative region, just as we were back over here with this first leg down. Probably see divergences develop on indicators. Weekly signals, again, are all still bearish. Again, here, the very weak of the top. The signal turned bearish right as we were topping, and it's been bearish ever since. I think you're going to bottom at these moving averages here. Maybe tagging the 300 or just above it, just dropping below our 200. We'll see how it plays out. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like my charts, and you will. If you like my indicators, and you will, please consider partnering with me and supporting the channel. If these indicators have helped educate you as much as they've helped educated me, then then please consider partnering with me. I don't have sponsors or turn those offers down, so I just put it all out there for free and ask that you just do what you can to help out. So if you could just take a moment, step up to the plate, I would really appreciate that. It would really be encouraging hearing from you. So if you could take a moment to do that, anything helps. I would appreciate it. It's a secured site. Thank you for your consideration for that. Now, Bitcoin, we had a triangle, might have evolved into this bull flag. If we could still try to move to the 200 period moving average here in the 4-hour time frame, I'm watching for clues. We're now seeing the MACD roll over. We've dropped back below the 50. So if we go back and take out the support zone, this low here, 80,000 or 60,000, pardon me, then again, we can resume the sell-off. If we can get a higher low here above this level, then you still may have this larger kind of a flat or a complex correction that, again, could still take us higher. And again, that 8.5% rally with Bitcoin, and now we're pulling back. Again, even though we had the 8.5% rally, I said it's still a bad day to be bullish on Bitcoin. You got to see my signals turn back to bullish, and you got to see a bottom. Again, keep telling us, the moon boys keep telling us, you got to buy the dip, hurry up and buy the dip, I'm calling a bottom. And they keep telling us to buy the dip that keeps on dipping. I want to buy the dip that ends the dipping. I think we're going to go lower. I think the shorts are going to close positions. I think you'll get a massive short squeeze off of the low once a bottom develops, and I think you'll get a massive rally. I'm looking to play to flip that trade, lock in the balance of my gains, and flip the trade and go long. I see evidence of a bottom, and not a recommendation to anybody buy or sell. I'm just telling you what I'm doing, what I'm looking for. Reach my minimum objective targets. Already took half of my profits. Again, I'm taking my profits in layers. I don't know the future. Yeah, I make some great calls. I have great indicators, but I don't know the future. I could tell you what I think. I've been right. Doesn't mean I'm always going to be right, so I take my profits in layers. We'll be watching to see, can we make it up to this 200? Do we go back above 72,000 here and try to get this larger counter trend move and then drop? Or is that all she wrote? Here we're dropping about 3% on Bitcoin. We had this hidden bearish divergence over here after 72,000. Bitcoin got a lower high. RSI made a higher high. Now you've got this move up here. Do we see a divergence develop here in this price action, or is that it? Are we now moving lower? Watching for clues. But if we do rally higher, watch 72,000 and watch the 200 period moving average here coming in around the same area. We may even overthrow the 200 period and get above 72,000 if we can rally again. Shorter term price fluctuations are harder to call. The main movement is down. It can unfold in a couple of different ways, and I'm looking for clues. I don't know the future. I'm just a trader that looks at support and resistance, make predictions based on observations. Just like I told you right here, we're hitting the 100 period moving average, and we're going to sharply drop down to 60 to 63,000. I was correct. Making predictions based on observations, not on hype and hopium and FOMO, and I'm making predictions based on what I'm seeing in the charts. Okay, we got Bitcoin down today. We had inflation jump higher. I continue to warn about the PPI inflation. Eventually, you're going to see it spill over into the CPI. We're seeing inflation, PPI inflation, wholesale inflation jump recently in the last 3 reports, and this time again. So Bitcoin on the stock market selling off on that, plus forced liquidations. Bitcoin's dropped about 3% or so, and weakening inflows as well, and that's all driving the Bitcoin price back down. Year over year, we saw the headline number come in hotter than expected. The estimate was 2.6. It came in at 2.9. Still lower than the previous reading of 3%, but it came in hotter than expected. The core came in hotter than expected. It was expected to come in at 3%, supposed to show a decline as well, and it came in hotter and higher Even though 2.9 was lower than the 3%, the 3.6 with the core is still higher than 3.3% on a year-over-year basis. So a hot report. The month-over-month numbers are on the high end, expected to be 0.3% for both of them. Month-over-month headline, 0.5%, 0.8% for the core. So again, we're seeing this jump in the wholesale inflation for the last three reports. I've been warning about this. Seeing yields, though, drop on concerns about stagflation now. Again, inflation rising with the weakening economy. We've seen that deterioration in the labor market. Now, Bitcoin's down 3% at the moment, and stock market selling off as well. The NVIDIA earnings yesterday, NVIDIA was down 5.5%, also putting pressure on the market. Again, the stock market will eventually play catch up to Bitcoin. But Bitcoin's going to get a bottoming process. Now, again, those telling us 80,000 was the bottom, those telling us 60,000 is the bottom. Even though I predicted back up at the top, we were going to drop down to 63,000. That was my minimum objective target. I also told you here when I predicted that the rally I predicted back over here was going to continue back in late December and early January, that we were going to break out of the triangle and we were going to rally towards the 100 period but not move above 98,900 and hit the 100 period moving average and hit this trend line. I was correct. But I told you there, again, the moon boys better pray that this is not the expanded channel that I was predicting, because that means we're going to take out 60,000 and likely drop into the slower end of the channel at one of these trend lines, excluding the shadow or including the shadow here. And again, drop down into probably the low 50,000 area, 51, 52, 53,000, maybe the mid 50,000 area, but I think it's more likely we're going to reach the low 50,000. And if it drags out, it may even go beyond 49,000. I told you I thought 49,000 would hold, which is horizontal support in the weekly time frame. But as I've said, we may wick down. I'm looking for a bottoming process. Again, these things take their time. But you had this kind of a three drives to a low that ended up forming this double bottom pattern in April. It took its time forming the bottom with the divergences developing. If I just move it up here, you can see the divergence, triple bullish divergence with the RSI, and it took its time. We don't have a divergence yet. We're probably going to see one, so 60,000 is probably not the bottom. Same thing over here. Again, the triple negative divergence at resistance. This was at major support, Bitcoin's average price, horizontal support. Total bottom for Bitcoin on April 7th, the day of the bottom. I had a bunch of signals flashing the April 7th, 8th, and 9th, that's the bottom. And I told you we hit support when everybody was panicking. I told you Bitcoin was bottoming and was going to go make new highs. Just as over here, we hit major resistance in the weekly time frame, and you formed this divergence. Going sideways, going sideways. You're likely going to see the same thing. Here we had a bottom and we're going sideways now, but we're probably going to see a low and form a divergence or a multiple point divergence, a triple divergence. Now, I talked about this in a post I made on X at King of the Charts on X yesterday, and I put strive to become a master Bitcoin chart reader. Victory belongs to those that can recognize signals early. Bitcoin usually reveals its direction in advance. It slows down at support, which it did in April, and it hesitates at resistance, which it did in October and in the summer. Bitcoin has a habit of telegraphing its next move well before it happens. It slows down and builds a clear bottoming process at major support, exactly the textbook bullish divergence that formed at the April 2025 low. At resistance, it hesitates and it grinds sideways, just like the clean bearish triple divergence that marked the October 2025 top. The chart almost always whispers the reversal before they happen. Recognize it early and the edge is yours. So Bitcoin usually reveals its direction in advance. It slows down at support and it hesitates at resistance. Bitcoin slowed down at support and formed this bottoming process each low moving slightly lower, but in a consolidation forming a bullish divergence. And so too here, again, hesitating at resistance. And this was the major trend line of resistance in the weekly time frame that I've talked so much about. So again, so too here, I'm looking for a bottoming process. I'm actively, even though I predicted this crash, even though I called the top, predicted this crash, we've hit my target, still think we go lower, but I'm actively looking for a bottom. I'm looking for a divergence here on the RSI, the MACD, or maybe a triple bullish divergence like we had at the top here and the bottom over here. Very bullish at support. I got very bearish at resistance, but wanted me to stay bullish. Couldn't do it. I listened to my indicators and it paid off. I'm going to get bullish down here when I see evidence of a bottom. And again, going to get mad at me for turning bullish, just like they got mad at me for turning bearish up here. Just like I turned bullish here, people had thrown in the towel and said, I was predicting new highs, and people are saying it's over. You want to do the opposite of the herd. And again, we're going to go lower. People are going to get very, very depressed. People that have rode Bitcoin down 52%, it's probably not over. It might drop, 58, 59% if we go down to the low 50s, or maybe even more than 60% if we take out 49,000 and the 300-week moving average at 50,000. But I'm looking for a bottom near the 200 and 300-week moving averages, as I've been talking about. So I think you're going to see this divergence end up developing. Bitcoin down 3% at the moment. Here, getting rejection, just overthrowing the 20-period moving average. You still got a shot at this other scenario. It's still possible that this drags out. We get a bigger rally before the bigger drop. Certainly don't want to rule that out, as I've been talking about these scenarios. The other one is we just drop right here, right now, and bottom out into March. The other one is we drop, we get a pop, and then it drags out. And again, this could even drag out into April. This can go on for months like it did up here. So again, these things can sometimes take a whole lot longer than we think. But I will be watching for divergence on the MACD and the RSI. The Bitcoin 200-day moving average has dropped below Bitcoin's average price. So again, it's suggesting we're going to get another leg down and likely form these divergences. Now, again, I told you, we are likely going to try to find support back up at the top. I told you we're going down the 200-week moving average. This is a daily, but the 200-week moving average, I've talked about the 200 and the 300-week moving average being where Bitcoin bottoms have formed. I think you're going to get a local bottom in that area surrounding this horizontal support, the low end of these levels with the wick down to 49,000. I think you're going to bottom here somewhere between 49,000 and the mid 50,000 area, 54, 55, 56,000, somewhere in here. I think you're going to likely bottom. I think you're going to get another push down, but there's still a significant drop from our recent bounce to 72,000, and we've already dropped nearly 39%. So I think you're going to bottom in this area. And if you go back here again, this was resistance areas previously after we began to break down this resistance here with the last bear market rally in 2022, and then some resistance rebounding here off of Bitcoin's average price. So I think you're going to eventually bottom and get a rebound back up. Now, again, those are those telling us that we're going to go make new highs, which is what they've been saying since the top, are going to be deceived. We're likely going to get a bear market rally. I'm hoping it's bigger with the institutions being involved and the Fed likely going to be doing jumbo cuts, which will be the bait for the big bear market rally. I'm hoping it's bigger. No guarantee. This one was, back up to the 50% retracement. That would still take Bitcoin under, if we bottom out around 51 or 52,000, it would still take Bitcoin under 97,900, still below this level. So I'm hoping it's bigger, but there's no guarantee it's bigger. But I'm hoping that if the herd believes that the rate cuts are bullish, so there could be maximum FOMO that could possibly take Bitcoin above 100,000, but no guarantee. Great Scott, did you just hear what I just said? No guarantee. Again, we'll be watching. We've never had a bear market rally with institutions being involved, so we don't know. This is the area where I think Bitcoin is likely to bottom, even though I predicted we go down to 60 to 63,000. That was my minimum objective target, because I expected at least a 50 to 52% decline on Bitcoin. It may be more. We've had a change of behavior. Look at Pring Parameter. Pring Parameter has moved into the negative region. The turn up here back to the 100 period moving average, that's the pink line you see right there, which I predicted would happen, but not exceed 98,900. Well, I was right. Bitcoin follows the 100 period moving average, and when the 100 period moving average is above Bitcoin's average price, good things are happening, and you're pulling back towards Bitcoin's average price on corrections or the 100 period moving average. Here we pull back to the 100 period moving average. Later, with the bear market rally, I think you'll pull back towards Bitcoin's average price, which is dipping just under the 100,000 area. Here we moved to it and we overthrew it. But again, the fact that there's been a change of behavior is telling you the bear market has been confirmed. 100 period has dropped below Bitcoin's average price, the orange line there, and it held below it through the bear market until we formed a bullish divergence. Pring Parameter moved into the negative region and confirmed it. Remained there until the divergence, until this was over. Got back above the 100, went back to Bitcoin's average price, pulled back to the 100, and then there was a change in behavior. We saw this move back into positive territory confirmed by getting back above Bitcoin's average price after the bullish signals, the bullish diversions, and back above the 100 period. There's a change of behavior. The pullbacks to Bitcoin's average price here, here, and here, I've marked them back towards it, tagging it, just overthrowing it. Again, those were marked by the pullbacks to the center line for Pring Parameter. Pring Parameter formed a multiple point negative divergence. There was a change in behavior. Rather than dropping below the center line and firming back up and bouncing off Bitcoin's average price, we broke Bitcoin's average price, tried to bounce it off of it and broke it, and there was a change of behavior. Pring Parameter went negative. So again, even if we turn back up, it's going to be a bear market rally. Here, we turned back up. We turned back up, but you were still remaining in the negative region. You didn't bottom until there was a divergence, dropping 78% lower. You're likely going to see something similar, but I think you're going to bottom in this area somewhere, the low to mid 50,000 range. If I'm wrong, we take out 49,000. You can wick lower. My guess is 49,000 is going to hold. I think you'll get a bottom here, and then I think you'll get a massive move back up to Bitcoin's average price, back up to the 200-day moving average. Maybe overthrow those levels back up to a Fibonacci retracement, as I've talked about. Historically, that's been at the 50% retracement or just above it, moving towards the 61.8 Fibonacci. But institutions involved, we'll see if that remains, or do we get a bigger bear market rally. So I'm a big believer in the 100 period moving average and Bitcoin's average price. Again, when you're holding above Bitcoin's average price and the 100 period is above it, you're pulling back toward it, good things are happening. When you drop below Bitcoin's average price and the 100 drops below it, then bad things are happening, okay? And when we drop below Bitcoin's average price, again, there's been this change of behavior. Again, here we moved into the negative region. There was a change. Rather than bouncing off Bitcoin's average price, we broke Bitcoin's average price. Rather than bouncing off Bitcoin's average price and jumping back above the 100 period moving average, we broke Bitcoin's average price when we moved back to the 100 period that crossed below Bitcoin's average price, and we got rejection there, just as we did over here. We rallied back up. Well, initially, we bounced off Bitcoin's average price, rallied back up, got rejection under the 100 period, eventually moved up to it, got rejection, turned down, eventually got above it and moved back towards Bitcoin's average price. So we're getting rejection. There's been a change of behavior. Rather than bouncing off of Bitcoin's average price and then getting back above the 100 period, as we've seen in the past, we've now broken it and gotten rejection at the 100 period and turned off of it and turned lower. Again, validation, moving into the negative region. Over here, we moved into the negative region. We stayed in the negative region through the entire bear market. It wasn't over until the bullish divergence ended. The pull-ups back up to the center line were the counter trend rallies, the bear market rallies. You're likely going to see something similar here. With our next bear market rally, the rally back up to the 100 period, moved up towards the center line, and we got rejection there. Again, notice in the bull phase, when we got back above the 100 and then eventually cleared, and we got that bullish divergence, eventually signals turned bullish, and then that was followed by a clearing. Bullish divergence was followed by a clearing of Bitcoin's average price, and we moved into the positive region, and the pullbacks to the center line were the pullbacks to Bitcoin's average price. So you have to understand there's been a change of behavior, warning you. Well, we saw this move go to new highs over here. Yeah, but you were bouncing up Bitcoin's average price. Here you broke it. There was a change of behavior over here, a change of behavior over here. Here, yeah, we had a 55% sell-off. We saw signals turn bearish, but again, it was to form a divergence on indicators. It was to form a divergence on indicators in the overall topping process, much like what we had over here in the overall topping process. So while I believe that we'll likely see a bottom develop, I think it will be a bear market rally. It's going to be very deceptive. People are going to become fully convinced the sell-off is over. You remember the folks that told us the sell-off that was never going to happen, told us we had a breakout at the top when it was a fake out? Remember those folks? They're the ones that are continuing to tell us 80,000 is the bottom. They told us 99,000 was the bottom, 103,000, 105,000. Now they're telling us 60,000 is the bottom. And when we get down here, they're going to tell us this is a bottom, but it's going to be more convincing because it's likely going to be a powerful rally back up to at least the 50% retracement that could take us into around 88 or 89,000, the 50% retracement. If we bottom out around 51,000, we go above 97,900 or above 100,000, it's going to create complete FOMO. Institutions, will they let that happen? I don't know. They're involved. They control it. You know, be careful what you wish for. Crypto community wanted the institutions involved. Now you get more and more paper Bitcoin, and the bull market rallies. You know, we continue to have diminishing returns. The more and more paper Bitcoin you get, bull markets keep getting smaller and smaller, percentage-wise. One of the institutions involved, institutions play a lot of games. So I wouldn't be surprised if they ran it back above 100,000 and then did a massive rug pull. The institutions are now in control. Keep that in mind. We'll see what happens. I'm looking for a bottom, and then I'll be looking for a rally. I do think we're going lower. But then I am looking for a bottom.